If you fish in shallow water, can you use a sonar? Well, I'm here to show you how the Deeper Chirp 2, the new version, helps me out. Stay tuned. I'm out here fishing today and checking out these channels with the new version of the Deeper Chirp, the Chirp 2. And its key difference between the original Chirp and this one is the battery is amazingly robust. It'll run for 15 hours on a charge, and you can recharge it in about 2 hours. The second thing is that the Wi-Fi signal is stronger. You can chuck this thing out here for 394 feet. That'd be a massive cast for me, and still get a signal back to your phone. It comes with a night cover, which is a little more visible, and actually I like using that in the daytime as well when I'm casting it, because it's easier to see than the new sand color. Those are the three key differences from the Chirp 1, and I'm grateful that the Deeper folks gave me one of these for free to test out and see if I liked it as well as my original Chirp. Now the Deeper Chirp has 3 beam widths, and each of those is optimum for a different depth. The narrow beam width is good if you're fishing really deep, to look way down underneath the surface of the water. The medium beam width is for the next level up, medium depth. And the wide beam width is when you're in really shallow water. Because when you look at the beam pattern, if you're in shallow water, even on a wide pattern, you kind of know where the fish are going to be. But inshore, Deeper will automatically switch to the narrow beam width, because what's interesting is the depth of the water and being able to find those shallow channels. The channel could be, 3 feet, 4 feet deep, and I need to know where that drop-off is, where the channel is, because that's the pathway the redfish are going to follow. Inshore fishing is all about the tides. I remember talking to a guide one time who was laughing when he was asked the question, do you mind if people watch where you fish? And he said, no, because they don't know the secret. And the secret is that the fish are only going to be there at a certain tide level. So unless you understand where the tide is, you're not going to understand where the fish is. So I know that back behind me along that grass line, there's not going to be anything moving back there because the tide isn't high enough. Instead, the redfish at this tide stage are going to be moving through the channels. And that's what I use the Deeper for. Unlike a guy on a lake or ocean where the water's deep and you can look down and see bait balls and things like that, I'm fishing in 5 to 2 feet of water, and I've caught redfish as shallow as a foot. So what I use the Deeper for is to find those channels, find those pathways, and then I know when in the tide stage to be there. But the key thing is finding the channel. Let's take a look at the Deeper app, and I'll show you how I track and discover where that channel is. The first thing to do is to determine where a channel is, and I use Google Earth to get a broad understanding of where they may be. But inshore, weather dictates everything, and weather, especially hurricanes, will push sand around, and the channel is going to move and the depth is going to change. So the first thing I do using the Google Earth coordinates is I go out and I start to look around for the channel. And as you can see here, using the Deeper app, it's pretty easy to find. Then the next step is, where does a channel run? The Deeper app will also show you what your track is. I didn't have the maps downloaded here, but you can see my kayak moving around, and as I cross the channel, I note where it is in relation to the landmarks, in this case, the oyster beds. Using that, I then track along the channel to make sure that I'm in the right place, and you can see from the depth that I've located it here. So in effect, here's where the channel is, and I know where to cast based on the relationship of my kayak to the oyster beds, and that's going to get me into the fish. That's how I use the Deeper Chirp 2, same as I use the Deeper Chirp 1. I appreciate the fact that there's no big control head like there would be on a regular fish finder. There's no 12-volt battery that I got to figure out where to put in my kayak and protect from getting wet. It's all encapsulated in the little tiny Deeper and on my smartphone. And since it's a smartphone app, that Deeper app can get updated more often than your control head. So if you only look at down imaging, there's no reason, if you're in a kayak, that you shouldn't get the Deeper. And here's the result of knowing where those channels are. I got a nice redfish on, I think. I may not use this Deeper to actually find fish under my boat, but finding where they're going to be is huge, especially when the terrain changes here after every storm. The sand moves, the channels shift, and I know that redfish are migratory predators. They move in, they follow the bait, and they're using the channels to do that, to get back to where there's a high density. And I'm the predator of the predators. I'm on top of these redfish because I know where the channels are because of the Deeper. Anyway, let's get this guy in. Ooh, I hope it's not a stingray. Nope, looks like a redfish. Nope, that's a nice fat 26-inch redfish. Whoa, what a monster. Got him right off that channel, again, that the Deeper helped me find. You saw how small that channel was. It's amazing that these fish will pay attention to such minute details, and that's where they're going to run. And that's where I'm going to catch them. That's my take on the Deeper Chirp 2. Comments? Throw them down below. Thanks.